If you would just quickly introduce yourself.
Does it work? Yeah, it works. I'm a software engineer, actually. And when I started the business, I first started to work Akbank, early 90s. In 95, actually, I took a job opportunity in the US. And it was actually a very critical time because I now noticing that the Democrats, Al Gore and Bill Clinton, they were laying out the foundation of that virtual digital economy at that time. We start to see the fruits right now. It was interesting. And I worked like 11 years over there. Then come back to Turkey and worked for Tofaş 2 years. And I entered the insurance business. It's like no way out. Since 2008, I've been in the insurance, first Zurich insurance, now in the Aksigorta. I'm responsible IT and retail underwriting. So you can see how technology is taking over the core businesses, as you see my position. And technology doesn't work here. Oh. You're back.
Could you maybe sketch? Now I'm on. Yes. Could you maybe sketch how Aksigorta kind of approaches technology and what you decide to do in house and what are you on the market for? What are you looking to get out of the startup scene and the external vendor scene?
What we see technology, as I mentioned, my new position, we are trying to change the core of the business with applying the technology. The thing is, when we talk about business, it's a very legacy business. It's not the technology, actually business itself is a very legacy. And when we see those our core systems, or you can call ERP systems, they're the reflection of the business, decades-old business captured on those systems. And what is the biggest mistake the current insurance are doing? They're trying to apply those new things on those core systems, which are not designed for that purpose, actually. You cannot change the bulldozer and make a bike, you know. What our approach is in that way. We kept that core systems in one side, and we try to apply the other things, new things, for example, new technology, robotics, chatbots, AI, for the separating them. And the purpose of this digitalization, actually, there are two things, actually, in this digital companies. When you see that Amazon or Netflix, whatever, they are scalable because they are on the digital environment. And they know their customer very well, since their system designed for that. In our systems, actually, we talk about policy numbers or claims files. That's why we are trying to apply the new technology to understand our customer better and make their life much easier. It's not just customers, it's also our stakeholders, like the agencies itself. And when it comes to the startups, they are really good. I see the startups like a glimpse of the future. You know, if you know the right ones, you can easily apply partially to the right points, you know, to prepare yourself for the future.
Can I maybe ask a little bit about the time frame that it takes to pull an innovation through? I mean, my experience is that it always takes a lot more time than people estimate to kind of get the full benefit of technological innovation. Is that your experience?
Depends. In our case, it's not. But you should be patient. It depends what you want to change, because we're always talking about the disruption. But the disruption is not you should think the whole world as an ecosystem. For example, automotive insurance. We're talking about like $5 trillion market, whole insurance, roughly half of them the non-life, and the $1 trillion is the automotive insurance, which is big, right? Huge chunk. But it's been started like 1930s, after the First World. It's not that old, you know. That's the disruption came. So we should wait, we should be patient for the next disruption, but we should be ready ourselves. Like it's like early 20th century, all these steam-powered plants, huge, monolithic, and electricity was there, but it took like 20 years to manufacturers to figure out how to utilize electricity, then they all became also, you know, you should place yourself, position yourself in a right point in order to understand the time frame. In our case, we have very good applications, and in a very short of time, we enjoying actually the technology.
So my experience is that when you start to collaborate, as I said, you know, we own a number of insurance insurers who are in a turnaround situation, and then we bring innovation there. And obviously, the innovation has to graft its way into the company. So you always have to change an awful lot more than you think, because it's not just about having a single idea or a single technology in the company, but the rest of the company has to envelope it and combine with it and work with it quite well. And so what we see is that, for instance, if for many companies we bring the complete sales process and so forth online, internet, iPad, mobile, and so forth. But what we then see is that it's quite good to have, to have that kind of a competitive must-have right now. But that alone is not enough, because your processes, your entire makeup of your company will have to change and adapt to that. And we see that at very many points. For instance, manual intervention or ineffective processes or excessive administration doesn't work well. And so when we bring everything online at the same time, we have to actually change our back office quite systematically, and it's a complete learning experience for everyone. And that's also why I think that as an insurer, it's just not enough to say we're going to work with a startup. You have to kind of really collaborate, make it teamwork, and the startup has to be truly kind of almost completely integrated into your processes to really get the benefit of that innovation. At Aksigorta, how do you tend to work with external partners?
First of all, as I said, Aksigorta, we're an insurance company, and the technology is something is outside. So we invite startups, and we would like to gain as much of we can gain from them. If we try to do something from itself, you have a very limited resources, and also the culture is difficult. It's like, I can call it like a black hole, you can suck everything around it. So we should be very clear about that separation, that thing. And startups right now, they have a different kind of mindset, and they know how to apply the technology. Actually, the trick here is not applying the technology, your business, actually changing your business according to, align to the technology these days, because that's the trend is going in that way. So that's, we utilize startup in that way actually. That's the, I think the best way. Otherwise, if you put startups and try to apply that startup in your business, they are just useless, because they're not designed for that.
Yes, I have to agree. I mean, it would be interesting to have a third speaker here who is a startup and ask the startup what frustrates them about us, old legacy businesses, insurers that are trying to adopt technology. Maybe we'll have the opportunity later in the day to ask a startup to testify on how difficult we are as customers for them. One of the things that I have noticed is that when you introduce a new idea or innovation or a new software or a new technology into a company, very often what you get is, well, yes, but it has to do this as well, it has to do that as well. So people immediately ask for extra customization. What's your view on that? How much customization should we put into
that's the biggest problem we have. As I mentioned earlier, that core systems, that customization is killing them, because they are not designed for that, Yeah. As I said, the bulldozer, you cannot make a bike from a bulldozer. This is ridiculous. And when you try to force the startups to make a customization for your own legacy business, you're just killing them.
Yes.
Actually, you should customize yourself. That's the difficult part, You should customize your culture. Culture is the biggest, that legacy, big culture.
I did not lead the question, I think, but Metin actually gave exactly the answer that I would be giving myself. Excess customization and excess demands are really adding layers of cost again, which is exactly what we don't want, and also adding huge operational risk, to be honest. So one of the things that we as an insurance industry have to do better is to just make space for these technologies and not want to replicate every single aspect of old products and the old world and the old way of doing things into our own offering. So we do have to kind of accept that the world moves on and sacrifice certain things that are maybe no longer that relevant, and not try to over customize and just step into the new world with the new technology. And I think that's part of, you know, a cultural issue that the industry has. And I think I've seen it not only in insurance companies, but also in other financial companies, that trying to over-customize really kills kind of the technology. So my time is unfortunately up, but let me invite Stuart King to take my seat. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Metin.
Thank you.